Most people will never tell you this, but it's the truth. The very people closest to you, your friends, your family, your inner circle, can be the greatest obstacles to your success. Not because they're evil, not because they want to see you fail, but because they are asleep. They're reacting to life, not creating it. And when you begin to wake up, when you begin to move with intention, with desire, with faith, they feel it, and it scares them. They'll smile while they do it, offer advice, say they're just being realistic. But underneath it all, there's something deeper happening. Your desire threatens their comfort. Your purpose exposes their drift. And so, unconsciously, they pull you back into the fog. This is not theory. I saw it happen again and again, men with great dreams losing themselves because they trusted too much in the support of others, and they waited for permission, for approval, for applause that never came. You're going to learn why burning desire can't be shared, why definiteness of purpose offends the masses, and why the ones who say they love you may unknowingly be killing your faith. I'll show you how to protect your mind, claim your silence, and build in spite of the resistance. There are truths in this message that most never hear, but if you watch to the end, you won't just understand them, you'll feel them. Welcome to Napoleon's Limitless Code. If you're ready to stop drifting, if you're ready to start creating on purpose, subscribe now. We're just getting started. There comes a moment, often in quiet, when a thought rises so strongly within you that it refuses to leave. It is not a wish, it is not a daydream, it burns. Napoleon Hill called this the starting point of all achievement, a burning desire, not a hope for something better, not a vague intention, but a desire so persistent, so consuming, that it refuses to be silenced. And yet, the moment you begin to move with that fire, you will notice something strange. The world around you grows uneasy. Friends begin to withdraw. Family grows cautious. They may not say it outright, but you'll feel it, their discomfort in your intensity. That's because burning desire is not born in a group. It is not voted on. It cannot be measured by applause. It rises in one heart alone. Hill discovered this truth while studying the lives of the most successful men of his time. Without exception, their journey began not with support, but with resistance. Their fire made others uncomfortable, because when you move with obsession, you reflect something others have buried, the dreams they left behind. You will be told to calm down, to wait, to be realistic. But Hill warned, the moment you compromise that desire to fit the opinions of others, you begin to kill it. Burning desire must be protected, cultivated in solitude, repeated through autosuggestion until it takes hold of the subconscious and becomes faith. No one can give it to you, and no one can carry it for you. This is why most never achieve, not because they lacked opportunity, but because they allowed the fire to cool. And once that flame dims, it rarely returns. There is a quiet strength in knowing exactly what you want, not in a loud or aggressive way, but with the calm, unwavering clarity of someone who has made a decision and no longer needs to ask for directions. Most wander through life waiting for signs, advice, or approval. But when you are not clear, the world becomes very loud. Everyone has a suggestion. Everyone has an opinion. And if your mind is open to all of it, you lose the thread of your own path. Vagueness is more dangerous than failure, because at least with failure, you know where you stand. Vagueness keeps you drifting, unsure, uncommitted, easily led. But definiteness cuts through that noise. It begins as a simple act of discipline, writing down what you want, speaking it aloud each morning, affirming it each night. At first it may feel mechanical, but over time something shifts. That clear aim begins to pull you forward. Ideas arrive, people show up. The right conditions begin to arrange themselves around your intent. This is not luck, this is law. Energy follows attention, and attention, when focused with emotion and repetition, activates unseen forces. You begin to attract what aligns with your purpose, but more importantly, you begin to repel what does not. And this is where many fall off, because to walk with purpose is to walk away from distraction, from comfort, from the need to please. No one else can define this for you, and no one should. Your purpose isn't a consensus, it's a calling. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to move forward, deliberately, intentionally. And once you choose, the way begins to clear. Faith is quiet. It doesn't shout, it doesn't argue, and it doesn't need to be seen to be real. It lives deep within like a seed buried beneath the soil, drawing unseen strength, pushing upward long before anything breaks the surface. When that seed is still tender, still forming roots, even a slight disturbance can shake it loose. This is why true faith must be protected in the early stages. It must be internalized, nurtured through silence, repetition, and conviction. Not everyone will understand your vision, and they don't have to, because it wasn't given to them, it was given to you. The moment you begin to speak of it too soon, especially to those who haven't built the capacity to believe for themselves, you invite resistance. Not always out of cruelty, often out of fear. But fear, when spoken with enough emotion, can slip past your defenses. It can enter your subconscious like a whisper. And if you're not careful, it begins to undo the work you've been doing in the dark. This is where discipline comes in. Affirm daily, "What I desire is already mine." Not because you see it, but because you know it. Speak it, write it, feel it, until that knowing becomes stronger than the doubts around you. This is how the law responds, not to wishful thinking, but to steady, unwavering belief. Faith is not a group activity. You don't need validation. You need alignment with your thoughts, your emotions, your energy. There will come a time to share, a time to speak, but until your roots are deep enough to hold under pressure, stay still, stay focused. Protect the seed, guard the vision. Because once faith becomes unshakable, everything else begins to move. Every word you speak, especially the ones you whisper to yourself, becomes instruction. Not just to your conscious mind, but to something deeper. Something that listens without judgment, obeys without hesitation. That part of you that shapes your reality from the shadows, your subconscious. And it is always listening. Whether you repeat fear or courage, lack or abundance, doubt or belief, it does not question, it simply records, accepts, builds. This is why casual self-talk is never truly casual. When you say, "I can't," "I'm not ready," "I'm not good enough," you are not just expressing a momentary thought. You are writing a script, one that will quietly direct your actions, your choices, and even the people who show up in your life. Discipline is not just about what you do. It's about what you say, internally, daily, repeatedly. Affirm this: "I am ready, I am capable. What I seek is already mine," even if you don't believe it yet, especially if you don't believe it yet. Because belief is not born fully formed. It is built, brick by brick, through repetition, emotion, focus. If you wait for the world to tell you who you are, it will hand you a version of yourself shaped by fear, expectation, and limitation. But when you begin to program yourself deliberately, consistently, with feeling, you begin to shift. And the shift is subtle at first. A new thought here, a better choice there. But over time, your inner script changes, and with it, everything else. You are not broken, you are not behind. You are simply living out the code you've been repeating, most of it unconsciously. But now you know. Start repeating the truth, not as hope, as command. Say it until it becomes law. Then watch your world follow. Your mind is not a locked vault. It's a field open, fertile, always receiving. And the subconscious does not discriminate. It accepts whatever is planted, as long as it's repeated with emotion. It doesn't ask, "Is this true?" It only asks, "How often have I heard this? How strongly was it felt?" This is why the people you surround yourself with matter more than most realize. Sit too long among those who fear change, and fear becomes familiar. Listen to voices soaked in doubt, and doubt becomes a natural part of your own inner conversation. Not because you chose it, but because you weren't deliberate. Thoughts don't always knock before they enter. Most walk in quietly, through suggestion, tone, energy, silence. If you are not vigilant, you start to carry ideas that aren't even yours, and you live out the consequences as if they were. Discipline begins here, with awareness, with the daily decision to guard the gates of your mind. Affirm, "Only truth enters here. Only strength takes root. I choose the thoughts that shape me." You cannot always control what you hear, but you can control what you accept. You can repeat what is powerful. You can feel what is aligned. You can overwrite the noise. The law responds to what is impressed repeatedly and emotionally. If the world around you is filled with limitation, then your responsibility is to speak freedom louder, to declare clarity in the face of confusion, to become so grounded in your chosen thought that no outside energy can pull you off course. You're not weak for being affected by others, but you remain weak if you don't protect your mind. Guard it like your life depends on it, because everything you become begins there. There's a silence that comes after the excitement fades, when the applause stops, when the first setback arrives, when progress slows to a crawl and no one is watching. That's where persistence begins. Not in motivation, not in bursts of inspiration, but in the steady, stubborn choice to keep going when most would rather turn back. And make no mistake, your persistence will make others uneasy. Not because you've harmed them, but because your refusal to quit reflects something they've buried. Every time you keep going, you mirror their own hesitation, their compromises, their forgotten goals. You won't always be praised for it. In fact, sometimes you'll be criticized, laughed at, ignored, because to persist is to break an unspoken agreement, the one that says comfort comes before purpose. But if you want to create something real, something lasting, you must let that agreement die. Persistence is not just action, it's discipline of thought. It's saying to yourself again and again, I continue, I grow, I do not stop. And this is where the law responds. Because the universe does not reward wishful effort, it aligns with focused repetition, with emotional commitment, with faith that does not bend in the face of delay. Affirm it. I am unmoved by results. I am rooted in purpose. I finish what I begin. You may walk alone for a while. You may be misunderstood, but in persistence you gather momentum that others cannot see. Each step, each repetition, each day you refuse to give up. You call more of your vision into form. Not because it's easy, but because you decided it's already yours. The mind needs space to listen, not just to think, but to receive. And in a world filled with noise, the most radical act is to be still. Imagination, the kind that shapes the unseen into the real, does not come through noise, debate, or crowded minds. It comes through silence, not absence, but presence, a deeper awareness that can only emerge when you step away. Most people recycle. They repeat what's already been said, think within the limits they've been handed, echo the voices around them. But true creators, they receive. And that kind of reception cannot happen in the middle of constant input. There is a higher intelligence that responds when the mind is clear, when attention is undivided. Ideas, insights, and direction begin to flow, not because you forced them, but because you made room for them. Stillness is not laziness, it is discipline, the discipline to unplug, to detach, to choose solitude over stimulation, not forever, but long enough to reconnect with the creative power that lives just beneath the surface. Affirm, all I need is within. I listen, I receive, I trust the silence. You don't need approval, you don't need permission, you don't need to explain. You need space. Because imagination is not memory, it's vision, and vision is fragile when first formed. It cannot survive constant exposure to noise and opinion. Withdraw, not to escape, but to remember. The greatest ideas are waiting, not in the crowd, but in the quiet corners of your own mind. Step into the silence. That's where empires begin. There's a kind of loneliness that comes before true alignment, a space between who you've been and who you're becoming. And in that space, the idea of friendship begins to shift. Not everyone who cares about you is qualified to build with you. The mastermind isn't about being liked. It's not about comfort or casual connection. It's about convergence, a shared direction, a common fire, a mutual commitment to growth. Many people stay surrounded by familiarity, thinking it's loyalty, but often it's just a way to avoid outgrowing the circle. And when you stay small to make others comfortable, you trade purpose for peace. Affirm, I choose alignment over approval. I welcome challenge. I grow through reflection. Your true allies may not flatter you. They may not always agree with you, but they'll never let you shrink. They mirror your higher standard, not your fears. And that kind of presence is rare. A real mastermind stretches your thinking. It pulls from you ideas you didn't know you had. It confronts your limitations and calls them by name. Not to hurt you, but to sharpen you. Most people are emotional placeholders. They fill space, offer distraction, create warmth, but not movement. The mastermind is different. It's forged in clarity, not convenience. It may take time to find. You may walk alone for a season, but when that alliance forms built on purpose, not personality, the acceleration is undeniable. Discipline yourself to seek alignment, not just in people, but in thoughts, in energy, in goals. Say it again. I don't need to be liked. I need to be aligned. The path isn't crowded at the top, but those who walk it with you are worth everything. There is energy in you right now, raw, potent, alive. You feel it in your desires, your emotions, your pull towards something more. But until that energy is gathered, refined and aimed, it will scatter, and what scatters fades. Sexual energy, emotional intensity, spiritual longing, These are not distractions. They are signals, carriers of power, but when left unchecked, they spill into places unworthy of them. Gossip, craving, drama, chasing validation. You don't lose energy because you lack it. You lose it because you give it away too easily. Transmutation is the discipline of turning that fire inward, then upward. Instead of leaking it through compulsions and distractions, you hold it, contain it, direct it toward creation, your work, your vision, your becoming. And that process is rarely loud. It often requires silence, separation, a deliberate step away from the noise that pulls at your attention, your impulses, your need to be seen. Affirm, my energy is sacred. My focus is my power. I create with intention. This level of discipline can feel like loneliness at first, not because you're abandoned, but because you're unplugging from patterns that never served you. You're reclaiming energy that once leaked through endless conversation, shallow pleasure, and emotional loops that led nowhere. That reclaimed energy is the fuel for transformation. It sharpens your mind, deepens your presence, strengthens your will, and what was once scattered becomes unstoppable. You're not here to react, you're here to create. So withdraw, not out of fear, but to concentrate. Turn the energy inward, hold the charge, and when you're ready to release it, do so with precision, with purpose, with a vision bigger than distraction. Because true creation does not come from what's borrowed, it comes from what's transmuted. No one can create your life but you. That's not isolation, it's liberation. When you stop expecting others to understand your vision, to believe in your dream, to carry your fire, you free yourself from disappointment. You reclaim your power, because the truth is simple. Your desire, your faith, your imagination were given to you not to be explained, but to be lived. Let that truth guide you. Guard your thoughts, speak your vision, persist in silence when needed, withdraw when necessary, and move with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that creation is an inside job. Apply this daily, not just in moments of clarity, but in the small, unseen choices, the words you speak to yourself, the energy you give to others, the direction you hold, even when no one else sees it. This is your code, and it becomes real the moment you decide to live by it. If this message spoke to something deeper in you, take a moment now, like the video, and subscribe to Napoleon's Limitless Code. There's more truth to uncover, more fire to wake up. We'll see you in the next one. Stay steady, stay clear, stay powerful,